oh gosh, it has to be like professional quality. If you're worried at all about the assignments, don't be. This is a 100 level graphic design class. And let me actually go back to the learning modules. And so if you just make something and it follows the instructions and you turn it in, chances are you're gonna get an A on it. And you turn it on time, rather, you're gonna get an A on it. So please, please do not stress about like making something that's brilliant. Okay, so if you go to our activity here that says color palettes, for all of these assignments, the best thing to do is to look at the guidelines and rubric, because that's where like all the details will be. And there is this file here called color palette setup.psd that is really helpful, because this makes your document the correct size and everything. And then you can also look at this color palette example. And what you're going to do is make boxes that show complementary, analogous, triadic, and monochromatic color schemes. And there's this really, really handy website called Color that I shared in the class called color.adobe.com that will help you like make color schemes. So let's first look for complementary. Complementary, as you guys have seen from your reading, is when you have colors that are on opposite sides of the color wheel. So like red and green are perfect complementary colors. You know, purple and yellow green, or let's go even, you know, purple and green, blue and yellow. Perfect complementary colors. So I'm going to start with that. And it even gives you like the hex number and the RGB number. So you could be like, okay, I want to do a complementary color scheme. I'll choose this color and I'll choose this color. And you could then just type in those colors into Photoshop and bring them. Something I like to do, because I am lazy, I guess, is just take a screenshot, Shift Command 4. And then I can open that in Photoshop, file open. And then this will be, I can just use my eyedropper tool to, you know, eyedrop my color schemes. Again, this is like only one way to do it. Where is my screenshot? There you are. You know, you can also eyeball it, you know, find a cool purple color, find a cool green color, greenish yellow color, call it good. That's fine too. So let's make some squares. I'll just start with a nice little white squares. And having your ruler up is really helpful for this, because we have a document that is about, you know, 8.5 by 11. So we can make a nice little square that fits on here. Like so, and I'll just make it white. And then, because again, I'm lazy, I don't want to have to keep on redrawing this same square, I can just hit Command J to duplicate it, then the letter V, and ta-da! Make sure they're nice and aligned. And then I'll hold down the Shift button, select both these, hit the letter V, move them over. Just like that, and then Command J. Now I have my little squares. So is there a consistent size to these squares that they all need to be? No. You know, if you want to make small squares, you're welcome to. If you want to make big squares, you're welcome to. Totally up to you. Now let's do in our color schemes, and you know, I want my color schemes to fit nicely into my box. So there's a couple ways to do that. I can just get my magic wand tool out, and I can select this box. Oh, since I made a shape layer, it's not going to let me do that. So another way that I can do that is just make what's called a clipping mask, where I make a new layer and then I hold down the option button and clip this new layer into rectangle 1. And now I can, I can use my paintbrush if I want, and I can paint. And there I got my green and my red color scheme. Or and that'll be my complementary color scheme. Or if I want to do a precise Adobe color scheme, what I can do is hit I for eyedropper, select this purple color, then hit X, which will flop my foreground and background colors, and then hit green. And then I can make my color palette this way by, getting out my paintbrush. I can paint that green color. And then I can use my paintbrush to make some polka dots if I want. And that will be my complementary color scheme. Now the other color scheme is, let's look at our example again. Analogous. So analogous is when you have colors that are all next to each other on the color wheel. So you can move these around. And the center one, you can kind of do something like this. And again, Shift Command 4 to take a screenshot. Then I can open up that screenshot, File, Open in Photoshop. And then I can hit my eyedropper tool, select that color, hit X, select that color. So I got 2 colors to start with. And this time, let's do something different. I want to make my colors on this next rectangle, which is this guy right here. And so what I'm going to do is make a new layer above that rectangle, hold down the Alt or Option button, click on the line between layer 2 and rectangle 1, get my brush out, and I can paint. And now if I want to get fancy, I can use my shape tools. How about this? I'll use my rectangle tool. This time I'll put it on the pixels mode. Hit X, and I'll do, okay, like half of my rectangle will be kind of that color, and then half will be that blue color. Now let's choose some other colors that we can use. So I'm going to hit I and use this guy, and then I'll hit X and use that guy. Then I'll get my colors out and I'll do some more. Something fancy like that. I'll get one more color. I click on that. Ta-da! And that's my analogous color scheme. Now I'm going to go to the next rectangle, make a new layer, Alt or Option click so that my new layer will be clipped inside of this rectangle here. And then what's our next color scheme? It is triadic. So triadic is when your color wheel kind of looks like a peace sign. And all the colors are equal distance from each other, so you can move this guy around like so. Choose interesting color scheme, something like that. Shift Command 4 to take a screenshot. Open up Photoshop, File, Open. There it is, open. Hit my eyedropper tool, which is I, the letter I on my keyboard. Click on the purple. Hit X to flop my foreground and background colors. Click on the orange. Venture over here to my project. This time I'll just use a full rectangle of orange to fill in this guy. Boom. And then I'll hit, this time I'll do some shapes, I think. It's my custom shape tool, I'll do some hearts. So X, and there's a little purple heart. And then I will go to my screenshot and I will hit I, get that purple, hit X, and then get that green. Go back to my custom shape tool, which is over there. Go back to my screenshot, get another green, go over here to my color palette, use my shape tool, like so. And then we have our final color scheme, Alt Option click, make a new layer, Alt Option click to clip it there. Yeah, I'm putting everything inside squares just because I'm following the example and trying to do something easy. But if you want to put your color palettes inside of circles or do something else completely, that's fine too. Be creative with it. Okay, and our final color scheme is going to be monochromatic. So this is when you have everything is the same hue, but there's just different shades of it. So I'll use that. Shift Command 4, screenshot. File open, find my screenshot. IX. And this one, let's see, I'll do something, I'll do rounded rectangles. Made it a little bit too, there we go. There we go. Now let's get some more colors. I, and then X. And then one more. There we go. And now we just have to label these. And I always spell complementary wrong. So complementary is spelled with a complementary, with an E, complementary. So let's go ahead and we can put in whatever colors we want for the actual labels. I'll just use like a yellowy color, I think, just for fun. And what do I have? How about Helvetica Ultralight? And that might be a little bit too big. So complementary. There we go. And then this one is analogous. Use my move tool, move it into place. And this is monochromatic. Placement of analogous is bothering me a little bit. There we go. And that is it. Let's see what our assignment asks us to save this as. PDF or PSD. I personally am fine with you using, where did my classroom go? I'm fine with you using JPEG or PDF. I just want to double check. For me personally, please don't submit like a PSD file because it's so big. It's like, 50 megabytes. And with 30 of you in my class, it certainly takes a long time to download if everyone's files are like 50 megabytes. So go ahead and ideally save it as, a nice small file size, like a JPEG or a PDF. I'm just going to double check and see let's do here, the modules. And then your other assignment this week is also fun and easy. Oh, you're going to select your color and your photography for your project. So you're kind of like making a mood board, which is also really easy and fun. So, okay, cool. It doesn't specify what file type you want to submit. So I would love if you guys all submit this as a JPEG. So you can go to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web. And then go ahead and save it as like a JPEG high is good. And I'll just save it to my desktop for now. And, put your name on it. That makes it easy for me to figure out who is who. So Antonio is saying when I open the file, it doesn't open the same as it did here. It looks zoomed in. Chances are because you're viewing it zoomed in. Antonio, do you want to go ahead and share your screen? And I'd love to see what you're seeing. And if you're zoomed in, usually all you have to do is hit Command -sign, and that zooms out.
Okay, I'm trying to do that now.
Yeah, so if you just hit share screen, I can see your screen. I can see what you're seeing. Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like you are either viewing something really big or you made something really big. Let's hit Command -sign to zoom out. Do you know where your command button is on your keyboard?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to hold down your command button, and then you're going to also hold down -sign, which is located next to the letter 0 or the number 0 on your keyboard. Minus.
It isn't doing anything.
So are you holding down the command button?
Yeah. When I press the minus, all I hear is the little drums.
Okay, so go ahead and actually click somewhere on Photoshop because you might not be on Photoshop. So we just click somewhere so that you're actually like activated the Photoshop program. Click on your canvas and now hit Command -sign. Good, Command -sign. Good. Okay, for some reason this project is this file that, did you make this file?
No, this is the file that I uploaded from the.
Because this is huge. Something went wrong here. Let's do this. Go ahead and go up to the top of your screen where it says image.
Uh-huh.
and select image size.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty large.
No, it's not though. Huh. What is going on here? I hit cancel. And then hit your zoom key, Z for zoom. The letter Z is in zebra. And then go ahead and click fit screen up at the top of the screen. There it says fit screen. Why are we viewing it this way?
I know. And I'm actually,
let's
I
just
opened the same file.
Scratch. Yeah, just don't X out of there. Something really weird is going on. And now what you're going to do is go File, New. And you're going to make a document that is 8.5 inches wide. 8.5. And then 11 inches tall. And then click Create. Good. And now, oh, I see. You have, okay, so I think what might have happened is your canvas, like your artboard is set up to be black, and then the document was black. So we couldn't tell the difference between what your document was and what your artboard was. So here at least it's white. So we'll be able to change it. To change it, go up to, do you see up at the top of the screen where it says Photoshop CC?
Yep.
Click on that and then click Preferences. And then click on, it might be either in General or Workspace. Yeah, click on Workspace. And trying to figure out where it is. It might be in General. Go ahead and click on General. How about Interface? Let's try Interface. Ooh, good. Okay, color theme. Click on white. Okay, but still. And then standard screen mode, click on where it says black, change it to gray. Yeah, medium gray is fine. Yay, now you can click OK, and now it'll be easy for you to see.
It looks like Windows.
Yep. But now you can, if you want to make your background black, you can, and you can go ahead and make your squares and everything.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. So I will jump into talking about your assignment. Which is your photography selection. And this is really fun, where you're just kind of creating a mood board. And a good idea is to always look at the rubric first and make sure that you understand what's due. So we want to have textures, we want to have backgrounds, images, we want to have design elements showing. And it doesn't specify, yes it does, 11 by 17, 300 DPI. So let's make that. So we're gonna go to File, New, 11 by 17, 300. And what I'm creating here is not the final composition. We're just selecting the photos and textures and colors that we want to use for our final project. And you guys, with this final project, the sky is the limit. Like, have fun with it. You've seen some of the examples that I've posted in the classroom. So it's really up to you. So I'm going to imagine doing a, like I'll do something like fashion, like with textures and fabrics and something like that. So the best place to find images is, of course, Google, but you want to make sure that you use only license-free images. So I'm going to do a search for fabric, and I'm going to go to images. Now, I can't just use like whatever I see here because some of it is copyright protected. So you have to go to tools, and you have to go to usage rights, and you have to click labeled for use modification. And then we always want to use nice, large, high resolution images. So I'm going to go to size, and I'm going to click larger than 4 megapixels. And Wikimedia Commons and Wikipedia are great places for finding things because you don't have to log in. It's all free. So I like this texture really good. And I'm going to click on it and view it full screen, right, before I download it. Because if I don't view it full screen before I download it, I'm just downloading a small thumbnail image. So I'm going to control click, save image as, and I'm just going to be nice and neat and make a folder for my project. And I'll put JPEG at the end of everything. Okay, so I'm gonna have some fabric texture. Maybe I'll have like a dress. Something, again, large. Label for use modification. That actually isn't a photo. We have to choose photo. That looks like an illustration. So we have to use photos. That's on pics here, which is going to give me trouble downloading it. Wikimedia Commons, it's nice and large. View at full size, control click, save image as. And I'll find one more image that I can use. Stephanie, this is what you will be using in your collage, but it's not going to be put together in a collage yet. And then maybe I'll find something that is kind of like indicates like sewing, maybe like another, like a sort of like background of some sort. That's like a photo. Maybe something abstract. Now if this goes. Oh, this is kind of cool. View it full screen first. Control click, save image as. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring my photo elements onto my page. And then maybe what I'll do is change the color of my background. Just kind of match, maybe I'm gonna go with like a bluish green color scheme. And then maybe I will do a little color selection. So here's like where my color selection will go. And this is like gonna be like the colors that I use for my color palette. And I posted some examples of mood boards in the announcements, so definitely take a look at those. And then you can name this. You can call this photo selection for project name. But you're gonna put your like name of your project on here. And then let's see if there is a actual like file type that it's recommended. Okay, so it wants you to save it, submit it as a PSD file. Okay. You guys, if you're having trouble submitting your PSD file because it's such a large file type, please feel free to submit it as a JPEG. I won't be mad at you. Alrighty. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save this using like a standard naming convention. So file, save as, and what are we naming this? GRA101 Final Project Part 1, Milestone 2. GRA101 Final Project Part 1, Milestone 2. And then ideally put your name on it. And like I said, if the PSD file is too big to upload, go File, Export, Save for Web, and JPEG is totally fine for me. And that's it. And if you guys want to get really fancy with your mood boards, Pinterest is a great place to go to get inspiration on different layouts, different ways that you can put this all together. So if you just do a search for a mood board, you can check out all of these really great examples and inspiring ways that you can kind of put things all together. Let's just take a final look at any specific requirements as far as the number of images. So we want to see textures. We want to see a complementary background. We want to see a variety. So ideally a few more than I've included. Oh, chosen fonts. So I chose to use this Helvetica New Thin, but you can also experiment a little bit with font pairing. Font pairing is the idea that you choose two fonts that go together really well. And Pinterest is a great place to look for font pairing. And because you can find all these really cool font combinations that might end up looking really good on your project. So a good idea is contrast. Like if you have a really thick, chunky font, pairing it with like a thin, tall, skinny font is good. And if you have like a thin kind of hand-drawn font, pairing it with like a square, more geometric font is good. What you don't want to do is pair two fonts that are like really contrasty and very like decorative. Like, so you don't want to pair something like Comic Sans. We'd never use Comic Sans anyway, but Comic Sans with Papyrus, because both fonts draw a lot of attention to themselves. You don't want to use like Algerian with Cotillion or Edwardian script, because both fonts are highly decorative. Both fonts draw a lot of attention to themselves. So you want to pair, if you have a really dynamic font, you want to pair it with something more simpler. And ideally, I would say always err on the side of being simple with your font choices. You don't want to choose fonts that draw too much attention to themselves. And so for my font pairing, I'll use white. And let's say I'll use font choice 1. Yeah, I don't want to use that one. Let's use the Helvetica family is really great because they don't draw a lot of attention to themselves. And they're easy to read. And then my next font choice will be like Helvetica New Thin Light. And if there's any fonts that you really love and you're not finding them in your Photoshop, feel free to go on the internet and find a bunch of fonts to choose from. And but Dido. Ooh, I like Dido Italic with that Helvetica. That kind of looks nice. So there's a website called 1001freefonts.com. And this is a great place to download fonts. And there's so many of them, and some of them are really fun. So feel free to steal some fonts from here. All right, you guys, I'm gonna open it up to any questions if you guys have any. If not, you're free to go, and I'll be posting this recording so you can refer to it forever and ever. Thank you guys for dropping by, and I can't wait to see your projects because I'm sure they're gonna be amazing. But like I said, don't put too much stress on yourself to make them amazing, because this is just a 100 level class. I don't want you guys to be stressed out or freaking out or anything. Know that if you use this time to experiment and just have fun making your first Photoshop project, and you turn it in on time and you follow directions, you're gonna get a good grade, right? Save stressing for algebra or calculus or whatever your hard class is.